Welcome to JustWannaQuilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. I'm Elizabeth Townsend Guard. I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School, and I just want to quilt. So today we talk to Kelly Nagel of Sulky. They make threads, lots of really cool stuff. They're really known for embroidery thread, but they do a ton of other stuff. She talks to us about Sulky.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I am Kelly Nagel, and I am calling from Cartersville, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta. So.
That's interesting. Is that where the headquarters are, or are you guys all in different spaces?
We're in different spaces, but the headquarters is actually in Kennesaw, which is about 30 minutes from here. It's actually where I grew up.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
really nice.
And that's our American headquarters because we are Sulky of America. We do have a German partner that is in Germany. It's Gnold, and so our company is kind of funny because it's half owned by the manufacturer of our thread, which is Gnold, and then half owned by Fred and Joyce Drexler, who are the founders of Sulky of America. So the American division of the company is kind of jointly owned by those two.
Are the products sold under a different name in Germany or other places then?
Yes and no. There are products that we don't sell because they have a commercial side too. So Gnold USA and Gnold International sells basically everything Sulky sells, but then they also sell thread and stabilizer to the commercial industry or commercial market for commercial embroidery. You know, people like Vera Bradley, buy thread from Gnold.
Got it. I'm looking at their website right now. So they're wholesale commercial embroidery.
Right.
What's the difference between, I have to ask you another question first, but we have one more question we ask everybody. What's the difference between commercial thread and domestic, like the kind I use? Is there much difference in it?
Absolutely nothing. The biggest difference is the way you receive the thread. A commercial embroiderer doesn't need small put-ups. They don't need 50 yards of anything. They need 2,300 yards of everything. So they're going to get everything that looks like this. They're going to get everything on a cone.
Right.
And whereas we like things on a spool.
Right. Yeah, and then the long armors are using the cones as well? Are the long armors using
They're using the cones, yep. And so we do sell cones as well. But
you got the long armors.
Right. And then they're not going to have necessarily as pretty of packaging, things like that.
They don't need to.
It's not commercial.
That's not the point.
Exactly. They don't need to. And we do have some products they don't sell because it's not for commercial embroidery. We do have like hand embroidery products. And we have some products that we have developed here in the United States that most of those products are also sold by Gnold International, but some of them it's kind of slowly sort of getting there. For example, our cotton 50 weight cotton, we developed that product. So Sulky USA did. So Sulky of America did, and so we that although Gnold will eventually sell it, and they're starting to sell it internationally. It's kind of a funny thing because they, on the back end, they sort of have to pay us, so to speak, to sell it.
Right.
It is
you have a complex relationship of what you do and all that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I get it. I get it. I got some of those at the law school, so I get it.
I'm sure.
All right. So we do ask everybody that comes on one question, which is, what's your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life?
Mine was when I was 5 years old, and my mom actually taught me how to quilt. I actually have it hanging in my sewing studio. I could grab it.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm saying that, oh yes, I do know where it is, but I have it in my drawer back there, so I could go grab it in a minute. But yeah, it's a little 9-patch that I made with my mom, and when I was about 5 years old, and I hand pieced it and hand quilted it, and so that is my first. So that, and I made a little bunny rabbit. So those are kind of my two first memories. And actually, whenever I do my quilt talks, I show them those two. My mom is actually a fiber artist, and so sewing, crafting, creating, all of that has always been a part of my life, since the day I was born, probably. Yeah. And I'm so glad. I was certainly taught that crafting is more important than cleaning, and that you can't do anything if you cannot create. And
that's really great. I would love to interview your mom if she'd be interested. That would be really cool.
I'll ask her. I don't know if she would do it, but I will absolutely ask her.
We're starting to get to sort of think through the summer, and one of the things we're thinking about is going back and seeing if we can interview, like if I've interviewed you, then like interview someone else connected to you, kind of like expand on that so we can kind of get a better sense of the world. All right, so how did you get to Sulky? Tell me a little bit, and I know a little bit about you, but tell, in case people don't know who you are, that are listening, tell us a little bit about your story.
All right. Well, I have been, as I just said, I've been a sewer all of my life and creator all of my life. And my working background was in marketing and fundraising, special events kind of thing. And but I always just sewed, enjoyed it. And then when I was ready to come back to work after I had children and realized I was the worst stay-at-home mom ever, I tried for almost a decade and I just couldn't do it. And so I was ready to come back to work. My husband was also ready for me to pay for my very addicted habit of sewing. So and actually with Sulky being here, local where we are, I kind of I created my job. I created this job of social media. I pitched it to the president, and he was like, okay, want to do it? And I'm like, yes, I do.
That's really cool. And what year was that, you think?
And that was I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2013, somewhere in there. And that I started as a contractor, just part-time. And now I'm actually the creator of opportunities for
I like that. Tell me, that's a great title, Creator of Opportunities. I like that. So tell me, as Creator of Opportunities, what kind of opportunities are you creating?
Well, a lot of, in the regular business world, it would be considered business development, is mostly what it would be considered. My favorite part of my job is I get to find creative people, designers, other companies, whatever that looks like, and create partnerships with them. So whether that's, for example, the partnership that we have with Cotton and Steel and RJR Fabrics, to the thread line, we did a dual branded thread line with them called Cotton and Steel Thread by Sulky. That was something that I did. And everything from that to, actually was emailing with a designer yesterday who she does a lot of hand embroidery and things, and creates patterns, and talking to her about creating content for us. I run our designer endorsement program, so anybody who's out there creating, and I make sure that they have tried our product, and if they love our product, that they're speaking about it and telling everyone else that they love it too.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about, so we're trying to understand, so we've been doing a lot of different things. We did a giveaway, our law students. It took us a really long time because we were all about the legal side of the giveaway. It was really funny. So we were like very nervous. We did one giveaway. And what this project also is, I've got a social entrepreneurship appointment as well. So I'm kind of got my entrepreneurship hat on sometimes my IP hat. So tell me a little bit, and I also teach social media. So I'm really interested in what role social media plays in the sort of whole thing. Like, companies are doing this more and more, but what role does it play with Sulky?
Well, I think, and as I said, that was kind of my first start into the company. I looked at Sulky just from a marketing perspective and said, what is it missing? Yeah. And part of it is Sulky at that time had all these amazing people who had amazing technical ability, but they didn't have an online presence at all. Yeah. And the younger generation is all online.
It's all online. It's amazing what's happening online. The social influencers, these gargantuan Facebook groups, like
exactly.
And then all of the affiliate programs, right? So, I mean, it's just remarkable what's happening.
Right. So from when I started in 2013 until now, when we had absolutely no social presence, to now, we have actually cut our traditional advertising budget to almost nothing. We do very, very little, and everything is focused to online. And what I try and tell people is one of my biggest parts of my job is to get as many people as possible who are not employed by Sulky saying how great Sulky is.
Right. It's interesting, right? It's this whole new thing. Our work does. We also do a lot on content owners, people in LA, and all of that. So it's this shift of like, first they were really controlling the brand, like we didn't want anyone else to talk about the brand, to now like how many people can we get to talk about the brand, right? Like
exactly. And I send product all the time. I'm talking to people all the time. If have you ever tried this? What have you, and everything from a cosplay designer who does, cosplays, costumes, to this, a hand embroidery designer, from traditional to modern. I want everyone talking about Sulky, using hashtags, all of those things. Right. I mean, I just look at my kids. My kids, we don't even have TV in our house, and my kids are in middle school. God bless us all. Yeah. But my two girls, we don't even have TV. Everything, all of their influence comes from YouTube and social media. And that's how they know who they like. That's how they know what brands they like. And it's interesting. They love Sephora. They're girls in middle school. Of course, they love makeup. And I've watched them, and why do they love Sephora over like Ulta or another store? And it's because the people they watch on YouTube, that's who they are affiliates of. It's interesting. My girls don't realize that. I look through the links. I'm like, oh yeah, she's an affiliate.
That's right.
And that's how it is. And so, and it's really not that much different for the older generation. We're all going online. We all have always said, oh, I want, if a quilt teacher came to my quilt guild and she made beautiful quilts and I wanted my quilts to look like hers, I said, what products do you use?
Exactly. There's an aspirational quality that I love about it, because it's like, well, if I use your batting, there's my office got quilt bombed because we were in we're being featured in a magazine. So my quilting army, that's what I call the people who are part of everything. They came and decorated my office because they thought the books weren't very exciting. So, but they're so funny. I'm a law professor. I have a lot of books. So, but I could say like the quilt behind me. Oh, I wish I could make that. Like, well, what pattern did you make? What fabric did you do? What thread did you use? Like, I probably will never make it as good as the person I'm aspiring to, but at least I'll have the tools. So I think that's like so interesting about the industry at this point, is the aspirational quality to all of it,
Absolutely. And we say at Sulky that our brand is based on 3 pillars. I kind of think of us as an Irish stool, and it's the thread, the stabilizers, and education.
Yes, you have a lot on that. So let's talk a little bit about, I was at your website, so I have a bunch of things to ask you about, but let's talk about your website. So if people are listening and you're by a computer, just go to sulky.com, because that's what we're going to be doing, is looking at the website, which is, let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. What's that? Okay. There's way too many things on my screen. Okay. So.
Oh, and you have the 2 online classes that I teach up. I love it.
Okay. So let's talk about what's here and why. Like, I'm trying to understand the business side of Sulky. First of all, all of your threads are on white, the whole white thing. Is that a trademark branding thing that you all sort of, tell me a little bit about why they look the way they do?
You mean just the pictures of the thread?
Yeah, the thread itself. Like, are all of your threads always on a white background, like the white stuff? Like, that's to distinguish you guys from other people, right?
Right. And part of that is, one thing is we've always said we want the thread to speak for itself. I mean, even down to, I don't even ask designers to sign an exclusivity agreement because I feel like our product's quality speaks for itself. And that's with the color as well. So the white
really vibrant
helps that color of the thread to stand out. Now you'll definitely see a difference in the cotton and steel line because the spools on cotton and steel are all colors. They're 12 different colors that were very carefully picked. See right there at the bottom right hand corner. The colors were very carefully picked.
Got it. And it's all, it looks a little different, right? The spools are different.
Yes, the spool. Well, that's the funny thing is the exact same spool as our regular thing. It's just colored, but the labels are all different. We have
that's really interesting.
Labels. They're kind of an ode to vintage.
Yeah.
Labels, and then
they're really pretty.
Yeah, and so we did do that on purpose as well. It definitely appeals to the more modern market, and that's what that specific thread line, we wanted to launch it to the modern market first.
Yeah.
And then put it into the more traditional market. And so yes, that's got the color spools, but yes, the white is very on purpose because thread is all about color. It's, that's what we're about. We are the thread that you see. Although you can certainly do construction with our thread, what we're known for is this is the thread you see. And so this is the difference between you've got a beige, bag, let's say, and you did red stitching on it just to add that pop. Those kinds of things. The machine embroidery thread, embroidery is all the rage right now. And doing embroidery on everything, that thread is what really makes the difference. And so that's, so we've been very careful in our marketing to make sure that the thread is the star.
Yeah. I hear ya. How do we understand? So we've gone through, I have so many questions to ask you. Okay. So on different threads, I would love for you to come back and talk to us about different threads. Maybe send us a sample or something so we can go through it. But one of the questions I have is, how do we understand your competitors? So we've got maybe 3 or 4 major thread companies, right? Would you say there's 3 or 4 of you? Maybe
surprisingly, there's way more than that. It's amazing how many, there used to only be 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Now there's probably, 20 thread companies.
Really? Oh my gosh. That's a lot.
It really is, especially when you consider that the market as a whole hasn't grown so much.
Just a lot more thread.
It's just we're still working with about the same pie, and we're now having to divide it up a little differently. So now not all of those are selling all the products. We have a little bit, we probably have more competitors than others because we have such a broad line.
Yeah.
So, rayon thread, cotton thread, hand embroidery thread, those kind of things, and our full line of stabilizers. So when you've got that many, polyester thread, everything, you've got that many, you tend to, whereas another company might just focus on machine embroidery, so they would maybe only have polyester and rayon thread in 40 weight. They wouldn't necessarily have all the others that we have.
And I would love to chat with you more at some point. I would love to chat with you more than once, but I would love to chat more about sort of how you make your thread, what you do, sort of let people sort of understand that. But let's do an overview today so we don't get bogged down, because we could spend our whole time on just the thread part.
Okay.
Tell me about stabilizers. First, in case someone's out there listening and they don't know what a stabilizer is, what is a stabilizer and when do you use it?
A stabilizer is as the thing that you don't see, and the most traditional use of a stabilizer is in machine embroidery. You put it on the back of your fabric, and then it's sewn through with the sewing machine, with your embroidery machine, and that's what keeps all of that stitching from puckering. So when you have a golf shirt, let's say, and it has a brand on there, that stuff that's on the back, that's a stabilizer. And if you, a baby's onesie, it's got kind of a mesh thing to cover those stitches.
Yeah.
You make sure it doesn't hurt, it's not, scratchy on the baby. That's a stabilizer.
Right.
The other thing with stabilizers, we also have wash away and heat.
Yeah, what's that about?
So sometimes you need a stabilizer in order to make something work while it's stitching out, but then you don't want it there anymore. For example, if you're going to do a monogram on a terry cloth towel, one of our favorite wedding gifts in the world, right? Then you need, in order to make that thread lay the way it's supposed to, you use a topper, a wash away or a heat away topper. It goes on top of it and it pushes those loops down in the terry cloth so the thread can stitch over it.
That's really cool. Love it.
And then it washes or tears away, so you don't have it for the end product, but you have it for the process of the sewing. And so that's the other thing with stabilizers. And then you also have stabilizers that are traditionally called interfacing. So you have them in your collars of your coats, of your jackets. It's the thing that makes things stiff. And, inside your jacket, you'll notice there's, a lining that is usually an interfacing. And so we have some of our stabilizers that also act like that as well.
What are the heat away ones? What do you use those for?
Heat away, it's one product. It looks like it basically looks sort of like saran wrap. It's a plastic film, and it works like the water soluble. You would use it as a topper. Let's say you were doing a towel, or you were doing, I mostly use heat away if I'm doing something on like linen or something, if I didn't want to wash it. And if I were doing a velvet and I didn't want to wash it, you would put it on top, and then once you're done, it goes away with an iron.
Got it.
So
where does it go? Does it make the iron sticky or gunky?
No, it doesn't. It actually kind of goes into little balls, and there is, I've heard the technical reason why it does it, but I don't actually know it very well. But the heat, because of the way it's like spread out in the machine, and it has little holes, the film has this little perforation. When you iron, you kind of go in a circular motion. They kind of come together. The heat makes it draw to itself.
Got it.
And it goes on little balls, makes these little balls, and then you just brush them away, and it doesn't stick to your iron. It doesn't stick to your fabric. It's kind of
very cool.
Yeah.
All right, puffy foam. What's puffy foam? Oh, puffy foam. Right.
Puffy
It's
foam.
like a thing.
Yes.
Right.
So if you get a ball cap that's, Atlanta Braves or whatever, and that A is really standing up in that, it has puffy foam underneath it.
You guys make everything. Now, where do you sell your products? You sell them, I know where you sell them, but if people don't know, I know where you sell them.
We do sell at sulky.com, and then we sell in independent stores all across the country, and we have part of our line in Joann Fabric and Craft stores as well. So that's probably that is our biggest retailer, but they do not carry our full line. They don't carry any of our cotton threads. Those are exclusive to independent quilt shops and stores.
So that your independent quilt shops aren't competing with Joann's because you have a different product there.
Right. Right. Now there are some independent shops that do carry our rayon as well, which is what's in Joann's, or whether there's not a Joann's near them, and also Joann's doesn't carry our full line of thread.
Right. Yeah.
So there are independent shops that carry it. And then there's several online retailers that carry our thread and stabilizers,
Interesting. All right. So, you said thread, products, and education. So tell me about the education side of the business.
Education has always been really important, and partly that is how the company got started. So Joyce Drexler, who's the co-founder, she was teaching people how to do embroidery before there were embroidery machines to do it. So people that, we're Southern, we've put monograms on things since, the Middle Ages probably, and so she's taught people how to do that free motion before there were embroidery machines, as well as doing all kinds of other things. And so that was in her teaching. She would create these kits with the thread, and that's how they created the relationship with Sulky and started selling the thread. They didn't, and then decided to open up and be Sulky of America, because they did not already have a home sewing presence in America, in North or South America.
And what year did Sulky begin, would you say?
Oh, it has been 30 years. So what does that make it?
Right. Yeah, so like 1990.
Yes. Last year we celebrated our 30th anniversary.
That's really interesting. So education continues to be that way. Is it in-person education, or I see here online webinars, guild events, and shows? You do all of it, right?
Right. We do all of that. So we do, everything from all of those online classes that we have, whether they're on demand. We do webinars, about 6 to 8 of every year, that are completely free.
Yeah.
We teach in person at consumer shows and at industry trade shows. Yeah. And we teach as well as, teaching at guilds all across the country, and things like that.
And when I look at the stuff you're offering, what you're trying to do is, obviously in the end you want them to be buying your product, but it looks like what you're doing is helping people imagine how to use thread and do projects that they wouldn't necessarily think about. Like I look at the thread sketching and the birdhouse tissue box. These are really creative ways of using your products and learning new techniques. Is that the strategy?
Yes. Our philosophy is if you can teach people how to be creative and use their own creativity, then you're giving them something much more valuable than handing them a pattern and showing them how to do it. Yeah. And I kind of feel like we as a company, and me personally, feel like there are plenty of pattern designers. And they're doing a great job at that. We don't need to duplicate that effort.
No,
we
not
need
doing that.
To support them.
Yeah.
But instead, what we want to do is open up people's minds, and you can create your own things. You can be creative, and we're going to give you the tools to do it well, so that it always looks good, but also help you along that process, because not everyone knows how to open up their creativity. And so we want to help people open up that part of their brain and say, and they see something they like, and not just, I can make that, I'm going to duplicate it exactly, but I can do that, and I can give my own twist and make it me.
That's really cool. That's amazing. That's really cool. All right, I like that.
Probably comes a lot from being raised by an artist.
Yeah, that really does make a difference, right? And you, as you said, your mom, it's what your mom does, so you understand that sort of. It's about that creative out. Some people want to just make the exact pattern, but I think in some way that's artistry too. The idea of actually trying to make that pattern look that way is very difficult. Not easy. Oh, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. So we got to give credit to that, because that's impossible. But also this notion of giving people ideas of how to be creative is really cool. Now, do you charge for the courses, or are most of them free?
We charge, well, it depends. Some of them are free, and some we charge for. And it really depends on the complexity and just what platform. Some are online classes. Most of them, there is a charge. There was also a lot of cost in putting that all together.
Right. It's not free to put it together. You're on your own platform. You're not on something like Craftsy or any of these others. You're creating your own platform for these videos. Is that right?
Well, no, we actually partner with F&W for the online classes. We partner with F&W, and so those classes are on their platform. However, we, for our webinars, that is, we use GoToWebcast, and we just, that's kind of our platform. And, and then we have our free projects and things like that in our blog, and all those things that have tutorials, and all of that is, posted on our platform.
Interesting. You have one here. See, now I'm not a hard-hitting journalist. I start to surf. So you've got that free. So I think it's really interesting. So the free motion doodling with celestial stars. So you have that book. Do they buy the book and then the webinar? Because I bought the book and I'm not exactly sure what to do with it. So I think that's really interesting, right? So that makes sense.
You need to go to our webinar and watch the webinar.
I'm so going to do that. That's definitely on the list now. Right. And so as part of that, I'm just trying to sort of understand, I can buy the threads from you if I want to do that. So I have it, the bundle. So So I'm ready to go, and the stabilizer. So I'm ready to go. And then, hold on, I just lost it.
That's all right. And I will say, with our webinars, obviously we want to teach. That's a big part. We want people to know about our products and ways to use them. But another big thing with webinars, they're completely free, except you do have to give me your email to join. And so
that's important, right? So huge. The email is important.
Email acquisition is a huge part of marketing in the digital age.
Right. So that's what I'm learning. People keep telling me that because we're going to experience everything. We're going to try to do all of this summer. So, So having it on your own website, not, the other platforms are okay, but you don't own it in the same way if you're just on Facebook or Instagram, right? That you want to get them to your site.
Right.
And you want to get their email. Do you send out a weekly newsletter or any kind of newslettery thing?
We do. We send out several different kinds of emails. We send out a straight up newsletter that comes from me. I create I aggregate the content. I don't always create it, but I do that about twice a month. And then we also have emails to that same list, that go out about sales. They go out when we have new classes come up, those kinds of things. And that can be, depending on how busy it is, there are some weeks that you might get an email every day.
That's a lot. Now, do you do things like, the other thing that I've learned that's really big is clubs or subscription boxes. Do you do those, or do you participate in any of those? And why is that important?
Yes, we have participated in them. And that's part, I kind of try and do that through our designer endorsement program. So if a designer is chosen to put one of those boxes together, like a quilty box or something, then I will really encourage her or him to use some products in that box, and we'll create custom packages for them if they're like, okay, this is the pattern I want to use, and then I'll say, okay, well, let's put these threads together, let's put these stabilizers, and then we will sell that to the box company who's putting that box together.
It's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
It is. And that's probably one of the things that sets Sulky apart, is that we are willing to do that customization. And it does take a lot of work, but we feel like it's worth it. We feel like that a lot of times people in our industry forget about customer service when you're doing B2B. And B2B customer service is very, very important.
Right.
And so when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I've got this pattern, I want a thread set.
Right.
And the fact that I can do it for them, and you don't have to, your minimum purchase doesn't have to be 3,000 sets.
That's really interesting.
I will, do that, and I'll help, and also I'll partner with you and help you promote it and in the right areas and all of those things. And we come from the place of, we want to say yes, we will, and we try and find a way to say yes.
That's really interesting.
Because we're a smaller company, we can't.
Right.
Some bigger really companies, they just
can't. We got to a point, so I don't know if you've seen it, our Just Wanna Quilt is our Just Wanna Quilt logo got made by our law students, and then we've got voted on by the Quilting Army. So it's got 4 colors right now: blue, green, pink, and orange. But if for some reason we got big enough that we decided to have some sort of thing that our quilters did, then we could come to you. This is hypothetical, that we come to you and say, we want to have a package so they can buy the threads to make things that are Just Wanna Quilt colors.
Absolutely.
And then we could have do something like that. How big?
And I've done that for people who all they wanted was 40 kits, because we have some cross stitchers that they wanted, they created a set, they used our threads, they wanted 40. I'm like, sure, I can do that. And I put them together for them.
That's really cool. Well, we should think about that. We can't quite figure out what we're doing next. What I kind of want to do is have a color set and give them some materials and then just see how creative they are. Here are our colors, here they are, and sort of what do you create for us? Make something for us, and see what comes back, because I think that would be really interesting. We've got about 440 now that are on our Facebook group. So.
What a fun challenge. See, and quilters love challenge. I love challenges. I feel like that pushes our creative envelopes,
Right. So we haven't quite figured out. I have lots of ideas, but we have a booth at the Quilt Festival to help educate people and do more interviews on stuff. So, but we have to decorate it. So we got to figure out sort of what we're going to do with all that. So maybe we'll be coming back to you to
Absolutely.
some fabric, because I think that'd be really cool. And you've got all kinds of different stuff. So we could do fun stuff with your metallic ones. And like, it just could be really interesting, right? Like different and send them out to them. How much would you say the kits, and we can do this offline too if you want, but like if you're doing 40 kits at like 4 to 8 colors, how expensive is that going to be for a group that's putting that together? If people are listening and they say, hey, I want to do that too, how do they know, like, if they're even if they're shy and they don't even know if they're in the ballpark of talking to you, you know?
Right. You know, the biggest thing to price is basically if you went onto the website and you saw, okay, what kind of thread you wanted to use, what size spool, whatever the retail price is, cut it in half, that's wholesale.
That's great.
So, you know,
so and we bought wholesale.
Look at it that way. Now, sometimes depending on what the thread is, depending on what the kit is, it may be less than wholesale. It just depends on things. And in some things, maybe even a little bit more depending on special packaging, all kinds of things. But as a benchmark, that's kind of what I tell people is look at the retail price, cut it in half, that's wholesale, and that's how you can kind of see that's what a cost would be of the kit.
That's very cool. Oh, I so want to I'm all about experiencing things. So I'm always just like, I so want to do that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's really cool. Okay, cool. So now we have to make thread kits and make people do stuff with a thread. That would be so cool. Okay, well, we'll price that out and see if we've got it in our budget. Because I think part of it is that we would, I don't know, I have to see if we would just buy it and give it out. I'm all about presents. I really like to give our quilting army presents. So we'll have to see if we can afford to do that. All right, so let's go to affiliate links. Let's talk about affiliates and social media and sponsorship and influencers and all these things. Tell me about that world. Let's just start generally, and then I'll ask you some questions. Does that work for you?
That works. In general, I mean, obviously, it's an important part of what we do. If an affiliate is, you know, if there's a blogger out there that they already recommend our product, then a lot of times what I'll try and do is I'll just reach out to them and say, hey, join our affiliate program.
Yeah.
We pay actually 20%, which is pretty high.
That's really good. That is high.
And so we, you know, of whatever, and it's not just on the product that they recommend. So let's say, for example, I've got this great little girl, Swooden says, she's adorable. She has a little blog for hand embroidery, and she recommends our stick and stitch and our Sulky Cotton Petites. But let's say I went and I bought off of sulky.com, but while I was there, I was like, oh, I know I'm going to do a machine embroidery project too, and I bought a bunch of other things. I'm going to actually give Stephanie 20% of the entire sale.
Because as long as they go through, they start at her website with her link, you could track them.
Right. We track that. Exactly. So so that's the affiliate program. I get, you know, try and get as many people to be involved with that as possible. Every guest of our webinar, we always tell them, you're going to be a guest, join us the affiliate, because once the webinar is over, it's evergreen. It stays forever.
Right. So here's my new idea, because I have, we don't always have industry. You know, we have a wide variety of people on, but I'm really thinking that we should do an affiliate program. Like your interview will be up there. We're going to talk about things like if we did our project, whatever, that we should be having an affiliate program with every guest that comes on, because you're going to have a web page that's going to talk, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be, and you just don't know when people are going to come back to that. And so we kind of want to experience what that is, because I think that that's important. And people do want to go to your website. I mean, they're listening to you right now, so they want to go, right? So why not help them get there, I guess, you know?
I think it's a great idea. As a matter of fact, even as a company, we are an affiliate to several others. I mean, if we recommend a product, why wouldn't we be an affiliate too? You know,
Exactly.
We do that as well. So
because because sometimes people are like, oh, well, why would you do that? But it really is just the new form of marketing, right? Like,
it is.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like people used to say about actors. They're like, oh, why would that movie actor do the deodorant commercial? And it's like, because that movie actor just made more money off that deodorant commercial in the last 5 movies that he put together.
Exactly.
So
it gives you, exactly. So we're we have this great thing. The provost sent me an email that said, he gave me some money for the, I was asked, it's the time of year you ask for money. And so I was like, I need more money. He's like, hey, he goes, well, and also go generate revenue. So I was like, who has their provost say that to them, So
there you go.
So I was really happy about that because I do want to experience the affiliate programs and what it is exactly. Now, with the affiliate programs, it seems like the goal is to build up your audience so that you have enough people going to the affiliate links. Otherwise, having an affiliate doesn't really help. Does that matter to you, how big their audience is in terms of, can anyone become an affiliate, or do they have to get approved by you to be an affiliate?
They do have to be approved, but really it's not because, you don't have a big enough audience. More than anything, we do approvals so that we don't get on too many of these coupon and sites that they're really not within the industry. Yeah. They're becoming affiliate to everybody they possibly can become an affiliate to. Yeah. And so that's why we approve them. But yeah, I want, as I said in the beginning, I want as many voices, as big or small as they are, saying how much they love our product. And I want as many people, big or small, letting people know that we have a website that you can come and purchase Sulky products onto, because that is the way of the future. As much as we will continue, as long as there is a brick and mortar store out there, we will continue to support them. But the way of the future is online. And that is how companies will survive, is by having an online presence, both an e-commerce site as well as providing content. And so we have to continue to do that as well. And so we try and support both. And the affiliate program is a huge way to help, as well as social media. All those things are ways that get people to know you can come to sulky.com and buy. Wouldn't it be great if we could say that Sulky is the Amazon of the sewing world? That's where you go to get all of these products.
Do you sell on Amazon or any of the big places like that? Can you find Sulky there?
Yes, you can find Sulky there. Now, we aren't selling on Amazon as the manufacturer. However, there are, we sell to distributors, we sell,
and they're on there.
People, and there are people that their entire business is by selling through Amazon.
Now, if I'm a really good citizen and I say, I adore Callie, I want to support Sulky, where's the best place for me to buy the product? Like, if I'm making a choice of where to put my dollars, is it at your website? Is it Joann's? Is it at a quilt shop? Or does it not matter to you?
In the end, as long as people are purchasing my product, that's what I care about. But I would say probably if somebody asked me, if they said, should I buy this at my local quilt shop or should I come online? I'm going to first tell you to buy it at the local quilt shop.
Because then you're supporting the local quilt shop.
Exactly. Yeah. However, if I'm, if you're, live somewhere you don't have a local quilt shop and your question is between buying on Sulky.com or buying on another.com, I'm going to say buy on Sulky.com.
Yeah, and also, it's so funny because I talked to Scott Fortunoff at Jaftex. Do you know him? He's like all over the map. He's a fabric company, and they sell it. They're like you guys. They sell it quilt shops, and they sell it big box stores, Joann's and Walmart and that stuff. And he was like, I just want you buying fabric. And so it made me feel better because, my whole thing is like, if I have to go to Walmart, I'm going to go buy something in the fabric area or thread, and also at Joann's. I love Joann's because when my day is done and it's like 8:30 at night, I know I have half an hour that I could just go by myself in the car and go to Joann's and Sulky's there. So, I think that this kind of, people get freaked out about is it okay to buy online? Should I only be buying by my quilt shop? But I feel like I buy everywhere. So as long as I'm buying everywhere, I feel like I'm okay. Does that seem like a reasonable way to think about it?
I think that's a reasonable way to think about it. And I appreciate it. As long as, like I said, as long as people are buying my product, I'm happy. Yeah. And this is that I understand. If I were an independent quilt shop owner, I would be like, oh, Joann's up the street and they're, going to undercut.
They're different though. They're different. It's different.
I think it is different.
It's really different.
I like them both. as far as that goes. And if you're looking at it from a business standpoint,
that's what I'm looking at.
When you look at it from a business standpoint, Joann's has 850 stores.
Right.
When they place an order for, let's do something small. Let's say they place an order for 10 spools of thread. Well, that's 10 spools times 850.
Yeah.
That's a lot of individual quilt shops that I have to sell to in order to equal that same amount. And the truth is, the thing that allows me to pay to go to trade shows, to pay to have my emails that go to my wholesale list, that go to those independent shops, that pay for me to create content, well, that's because Joann's buys my stuff.
That's right.
And,
that's really interesting, right?
Yeah. They pay my salary. They pay the mortgage. They pay for all the thread and the stabilizers in the warehouse, which gives me the luxury to have a cotton line that's independent to independent quilt stores.
Got it. I like that. I think that we as quilters, we are good people, so we want to feel good about our purchases. And I think that so if you guys are out there and you're at Joann's and buying Sulky, you'll just be like, I am participating in the base. Like I'm the base for the moment, right? So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we're going to run out of time, but I would love to chat with you some more. Let me ask you a little bit more about, I'd love to, if you would do a part 2 for me, I would totally love that. So I see Sulky sometimes, I think that we got to you through Stephanie, right? Did we get to you Stephanie, Modern Society? I adore. Tell me about sponsorship. How is, affiliate programs are, somebody clicks on it and it goes to you, but sponsors is a little bit different. Tell me about your philosophy on sponsorship and how we should understand about it.
Well, it is so complex. Sponsorship so often is my gut feeling. I wish I could say that I've got this great big marketing plan, but really the key is that I have been a consumer in this market my whole life, and I have a marketing background, So I kind of in my mind, I want a cross section. I want our base consumer is 65 years old and older, female, retired. They do machine embroidery. That is my base customer. They also spend the most money. And so I am always going to do some sponsorship, some marketing, some advertising to them. That's why that is a big part. That's why although we did cut a lot of our print advertising, we kept some in the machine embroidery market. So that I'm going to do. You
guys are so focused. Why machine embroidery? Because you're the first ones that I really like. Are you guys really? That's what we're
known for. Sulky rayon thread is known for machine embroidery. When the first home embroidery machines came out, Sulky was the only brand that sold to the home sewing market.
That's really interesting.
And our owners did a great job at marketing the name Sulky to the home sewer as they were first starting to get embroidery machines.
That's really interesting.
And so they know both the thread and the stabilizer, that if you got an embroidery machine, you got it. Sulky thread.
That's why you've got the two products, because you're so focused on the embroidery and you know that's what they need. So you become the stable of what they do, and you're their go-to people. And
exactly. Exactly. So that's our base market. However, we do this great cross section. So for example, Stephanie, Modern Society, we are very interested in their demographic of the modern quilting.
Younger. That's
demographic.
right.
It's younger. Right. But the Modern Quilt Guild and the modern quilter also has a tendency to have a little bit higher a little bit more disposable income than others, as opposed to just a young 20-something, let's say fashion designer. They don't have as much disposable income as a young modern quilter who's usually a stay-at-home mom or something. They just have more. So we're focused here. We are focused on fashion designing. Actually, that's one of our charitable projects that we do. If there is a school in America that still teaches sewing or fashion design in the school, I send them product for free.
That's so cool.
Because we want to encourage young sewers, we want to encourage young fashion designers, and so that's also one of the reasons why we sponsor the America Sewing Guild. that's, ASG is a huge group of garment sewers. And so I just make sure that I get sponsorships in.
And let me ask you a question. What does sponsorship mean? So when you sponsor, I mean, sometimes is it always product that you're sending?
I do a little bit of both. I'll do product is usually the first thing, but then, for example, with like Stephanie, we do product and cash, and then I do the same with ASG. I do patternreview.com. I'll do same thing. We do both product and money, but the money, if it's cash, I have very specific goals. Whether it's I want my name on their mailing list so that I can get to those, or I mean, there's I have to show a bottom line return on my investment.
Usually, right? The metrics. You got to get the metrics of how if it's making it worth it. Now, with someone like is Stephanie the only podcast you're supporting at the moment? Is that what you're?
Currently they are. I mean, we have done others in the past. That's just currently the only one. And part of that is because she's also a designer. She also creates content for us. As a matter of fact, you'll see on our website right now. So on the homepage, you'll see the free project she created.
Oh, that's so cool. She's amazing. I really like her so much. I really do. She's so cool. Okay, so I'm going to try to go to the homepage.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Is that hers? The Thoroughly Modern 9-patch?
Yeah,
by
that's
Stephanie.
her.
That's so cool. Well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Right. And she tracks with kind of our philosophy that she has traditional roots that has, kind of come into this modern world and appreciates the modern side of things. And she doesn't abandon those traditional roots. And we're very much about that. So I like that. That's really cool. What else on sponsorship? And I guess the other thing that probably would be interesting to you is we do, because I was a journalist before, back in my former life, I know a lot about copyright. You do? Okay, cool. I like that. Yeah, all right. So my mom being an artist. That's great. And we need part 2. This is ridiculous. So I want to know more about that. I mean, I actually did a panel. At one of the quilt cons, I was on a panel talking about copyrights for artists and things like that, because I think too many people don't understand copyright. They really don't. That's really true. So I always make sure that, like, for example, she did that quilt for us. In the contract, that particular quilt, we get the copyright for. That's great. Always, but I always write in there that she gets the credit for creating it and like that. And there's a difference between, there's 3 things, right, that people know: the object, the quilt itself, the copyright, which is the pattern or what it looks like for people who are listening, and then right of attribution, the right to have your name attached to it, which is distinct from the copyright, which most people don't really realize that the copyright doesn't give you the right to have your name attached to it. No. Isn't that weird? There's actually been times that I've purchased things. Yeah. For example, for some of our online classes, we have purchased content, and we're purchasing it right out and without right of attribution. That's interesting. Because it needs to be presented by somebody else, and they are going to actually gain the attribution for it because they're teaching it in the online class. Now, when your classes, your online classes, do your instructors assign copyright in the materials that they're using for your classes as well? Do you like, what role does copyright play in the online courses? It's actually plays more there than probably anywhere, because that's a lot of times that's the place where somebody will do a collaboration with somebody else, but the person who's actually presenting the online class is going to end up with the attribution, even though they have actually collaborated with somebody else, or somebody else might have done a lot of the actual work, because a lot of step outs have to be created, a lot of actual sewing has to be done, but in the end, the person who's presenting it ends up, and that's really just by default. It's not like she's standing up there saying, "Oh, I created this all on my own." She's not, but she's teaching it, and so she's the brand, right? She's the front person that you're like, I'm teaching this class, so me. But it's how you connect to it. So it becomes, then you think they did all of the work. Exactly. So even though she might not ever say, I did all the work or I didn't, she might even say, oh, I got this help and this person helped me.
Yeah.
Sulky owns all of that material. For example,
Right.
my online classes that are on there, I created that content. It came, a lot of it I did start to finish,
Yeah.
but now I can't now go and teach that someplace else. Sulky owns that.
Well, that was my other question. Do you have a non-compete clause in those so that they don't go teach the same class on Craftsy or someplace else? Like, is there a limitation on where they can do that project or do that technique?
Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. It depends on the project and depends on the person. With all of our online classes to date, yes, that has been how it has been. It's owned by Sulky. But like we have some free projects on our free project that we've contracted with people, and we might have that it has to be exclusive to Sulky for a year, and then after that you can put it on your personal website.
Yes, that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Well,
cool. Well, now I totally want to talk about copyright. We're at an hour. Would you be willing to come back and tell me more about like your philosophy and thoughts about copyright? Can we do a second hour at some point soon?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Yeah. And I would love to get, if you want, send me stuff and we can experience it because I would love to do that too.
Yeah.
Then we can talk about it.
Yeah, send me an email with your address and I will forward your stuff. And then, send me another invite and I'll look at my
I can do that.
I'm going to.
And it goes to the law school, so it's tax deductible. Not that you care, but like it's a law school, so it's.
I will let them know. Yeah.
Cool. We're a ridiculous project, but I'm really psyched to chat with you. Thank you so much. I'm going to send this to you for review before we put it up, so you can decide if there's anything you don't want public. But I'm so glad that Stephanie connected us. This is so cool. And I would love to apply to become, we have to work out the affiliates on our side, the law school.
Yeah.
That like, we got to figure out, there's some hoops to go on our side. But I would love to try your affiliate program.
Absolutely. I'll send you the link. It's completely free to join and it's like a fairly easy process. So I think that would be really fun.
All right, cool. And I'll think about how we can make bundles because I think that would be really fun to think of how to do the bundles from you because I think either if it's something that they're paying for or that we're doing as a fundraiser or just giving them to people if they're interested. We have a little bit of a budget so we can figure out what to do. I don't know. I just want to experience your bundling.
I love it. And you are coming to Fall Market or you're going to be?
Yes, we're going to go to Fall Market and then we'll have a booth at the festival. So we'll have the Quilting Army there. And if we can get a big enough booth, I'm going to try to do Just Wanna Sit. So we'll have comfortable chairs and talk to people while they have their phones recharged. So that's fun.
I love it. Well, and if you do that, I can give you thread and stuff so people could stitch while they're sitting.
Yeah? Okay. Let's do this. Yeah. I don't know. We haven't figured it out, but I think that would be great. I would love it. Yeah. I want it just like a communal space where people can kind of hang out and do stuff. So that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we have this great handwork product. It's one of our water soluble stabilizers. Yeah. And it can go through the printer. So you print on it.
Yeah.
And you can stitch. So you print your pattern, you stitch right through it, and then when you're done, it washes away. But it's stabilizing your fabric while you're stitching, so you don't have to actually.
That's really cool. Will you on a packet? Send me some of that, and maybe some thread because I'll also send it out to our quilting army. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a project that I'm teaching and I'm actually teaching this in Portland at Market in a couple weeks.
That's so cool.
This was printed out through the printer and then I stitched over it and then I will wash the stabilizer away. So
that's really cool.
If I don't stay on the line, it's okay. It's no big deal. But I don't have
to. All right, cool. We have to figure out what we're doing. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
We need to do stuff that people say, and we can have different things happening at different times. But I just want people to hang out and have it a space of community so that, because I feel like the festival, there's so much. Like I went the last year for the first time. It's huge. You can gargantuan. And it would just be nice to have a place that you could just stop and say hi and put your feet up for a few minutes, and feel like you're part of a community. And quilt, that would be great. Hand sew, that would be great. I love that idea. We hadn't thought about that. All right, we have lots more to talk about. I will send you an email And we'll talk again. It'll be great.
Sounds good. I love it.
Time.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
So this is Elizabeth Townsend Guard. You've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. We want to hear from you. Join our army, our quilting army. Go to our Facebook page. Suggest people to be interviewed. Suggest yourself to be interviewed. We are excited to hear from you. But most importantly, I hope you get a chance to quilt today.